Serampore is a famous and historical city in the Indian state of West Bengal. It is the headquarter of Serampore subdivision. It is a part of the area covered by Kolkata Metropolitan Development Authority. It is a pre-colonial town on the west bank of the Hooghly River. It was part of Danish India under the name Frederick-Nagore from 1755 to 1845. Origin of name of Serampore. It is probable that the name Serampore originated either from Sripur, Sriram, or both, or it could originate from Serampore, as there was a very famous Ram Sita temple. Serampore city was grown up joining by Mahesh, Ballavpur, Akn Sripur, Gopinathpur, Manoharpur, Chhatra, Rajadarapur, Naoga, Serampore, Shimla, Satahara villages. Here some aristocratic localities came up, namely Goswamipara, Lahiripara, Mukherjee-para, Bhattacharya-para, Chakravarti-para, Beniapara, etc., whose inhabitants were Brahmins of different groups and sects. History. The city is several centuries old and has witnessed both the growth and decline of the feudal system, the coming of the Danes and the settlement, and then a cultural renaissance initiated by the British following the construction of the East Indian Railway, along with subsequent industrial development. There were three main phases in the process of urbanization of Serampore: the pre-urbanization phase, the urbanization phase, and the industrialization phase. Before the Mughal era, the region between the Saraswati and Hooghly rivers was a thriving local community. After this there arose the need for local artisan along with service-class people who came from the neighboring villages and settled on granted land. In this way, colonies such as Patuapara, Kumarpara, Dulipara, Golpara, Datta Bagan, Kash Bagan were formed. This, along with the fact that Serampore was a distribution point for local marketable goods produced in different parts of Hooghly, induced many families, the Barujabis, Dattas, Ds, Das, etc., to come to settle here before 1755. The cultivating class settled in such places as Sadgopara, Manipara, Lankabaganpara. The Jelkai Bata and Sani Muchi were already in the locality from the beginning, and had their own areas. The local Sunni Muslims, descendants of Mughal soldiers, traders and artisans, lived in Mulkpara, Musalmanpara, and here a mosque still bears witness to their existence. During the Mughal period, Akn and Mahesh were heavily populated. The hot humid climate of the area suited the textile industry, and the local land was well known for its cotton and silk weaving. The Hindu weavers used to manufacture fine cotton pieces, while the Muslim weavers monopolized silk manufacture. In the fertile land, paddy, jute and betel leaf were grown in abundance. The Kaibata used the marshy land for fishing. In pre-urbanization age, communication was mainly by way of the river. Besides this, there was the Badshahi Sadak, or the trunk road. Before Danes arrived in this region, the Serampore was the main internal trade centre and had close commercial links with Barisal, Khulna, Dhaka, Mymensingh, Rajshahi and other districts of East Bengal. Between the 14th and 18th centuries, many foreign merchants, such as the French, Portuguese and Dutch, established the trading outposts, or Kudis, here and were involved in trade and commerce. During the Muslim period, the villages on the bank of the Hooghly and Saraswati were included in the zamindries of Serampore. These feudal lords not only collected rent, but also dispensed justice. Danish rule. The urbanization phase began with the acquisition of land in the area by the Danes in the early 18th century, as part of the Danish colonial empire. In 1755, the Danish East India Company sent a representative from its Tranquebar office to the Nawab of Bengal. Their intention was to secure a parwana allowing them the right to do business in Bengal. They obtained the parwana by paying 50,000 rupees in cash to Nawab Alawadi Khan, along with many gifts, acquiring 3 bighas of land at Serampore on the river front and then another 57 bighas at Akna for the building of a new factory and port, which the Danes governed from Tranquebar. Subsequently, the Danes acquired the Serampore, Akna and Pirapur mahals by paying an annual rent of 1601 rupees to the Zamindar of Serampore in North Serampore. By 1770 the Danish merchants were beginning to make significant progress in trade and commerce in the area. Danish prosperity was assisted by the able administrative performance of Colonel Olabia, who was appointed the first Crown Regent of Serampore in 1776. The Danes also established a bazaar and allowed private godowns, or warehouses, to be maintained. Gradually, the town developed and became elegant and prosperous, and merchants of both foreign and indigenous origin began to arrive and live there. Initially, the Danes were dependent on the factors for obtaining commodities, but they later got involved in collection of merchandise directly from the producers, and offered incentives to the artisans in the form of earnest money for making high-quality products. They also created a class of trading middlemen, such as agents Banyas, Mutsudas, and stevedores. Subharan Basik and Ananda and Doba, the 2 local textile businessmen, were appointed as the first factors for the Danes. Nandalal Chakravarti was the first agent, and subsequently he was promoted to Juin. Batita Parban Roy, who came from Katulpur in Bankura, and Safali Ramde were appointed agents for the supplying of saltpeter. Brothers Raghuram Goswami and Raghavram Goswami came to Serampore from the home village of Pachalai to seek the fortune. Raghuram secured a job at the commissariat of the Danish governor, while Raghavram became the official moneylender to the factory. Between them, they amassed a huge fortune, acquired vast lands, and founded an aristocratic colony on the western side of Serampore with the family. Their descendants still live in Serampore today. As a sop to the weavers of Akna and Mahanpur villages, the Danes gave advances for both cotton and fine silk products. The merchants also established their own factory to produce fine cloths. They collected hammer and larkline ropes for ships, various other kinds of ropes, and agricultural produce. They inspired the cultivators of Pirapur to cultivate indigo in addition to paddy rice. Mr. Prinsep was their indigo agent. Another notable source of their income was the Hundi business. Colonel Olabia was also interested in making Serampore a charming, elegant, attractive tourist resort. It became a well-protected town and the maintenance of law and order was well developed. To facilitate municipal, administrative and judicial work, a new courthouse was built and a metalled road was laid on the river bank and magnificent palatial buildings were erected. The local civil administration, however, was carried out by a prototype of a municipality known as the Village Committee, with Olabia as its governor. The balmy days of Danish overseas trade largely coincided with the service of Olabia as head of the factory, serving from 1776 to 1805, with only a few interruptions. Marshman and Carey. The beginning of the 19th century can be considered the most significant period in the history of Serampore, with the arrival of 4 English missionaries, Joshua Marshman, Hannah Marshman, William Carey, and William Ward, who between them were the architects of the Serampore Renaissance. Although they came chiefly for the purpose of preaching Christianity, they dedicated themselves to the service of ailing and distressed people in and around the town, spreading education, social reforms and social reconstruction. They established more than 100 monitorial schools in the region. Hannah Marshman established the first girls' school at Serampore, which received much public approval. Carey made an outstanding contribution by founding the Serampore Mission Press in 1800, where the wooden Bengali types made by Panchan and Karmika were installed. Perhaps the crowning work of Carey and his two associates was the establishment of the Serampore College in 1818, which acts both as a university, through the Senate of Serampore College, and as an individual college. The founders had to spend the last farthing on the construction of its magnificent buildings. It was also the first college in Asia to award a degree. Carey became famous as the father of Bengali prose. The Mission Press published 3 books: the Bengali translation of the Bible, Hitopadesh and Kathopakathan. Munshi Ramrambasu, the pundit appointed by Carey, brought out Pratapaditu Charit and the Bengali versions of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The first issue of the second Bengali daily, Samachadapan, came out in 1818 under the editorship of Carey. At the same time, the Serampore Mission Press brought out the English daily, A Friend of India. Another outstanding contribution of the missionaries was the installation of India's first paper mill at Batala, set up by John Clark Marshman, which was powered by a steam engine. Between 1801 and 1832, the Serampore Mission Press printed 212,000 copies of books in 40 different languages. In this cultural development, the local inhabitants had only a passive role. Only a few among the affluent, comprising absentee landlords and businessmen, seized the opportunity for higher education by sending their children to the academic institutions of the missionaries. On the other hand, people belonging to the lower economic stratum sent their children to the monitorial schools, which provided a basic education. In the process, there emerged a class of local gentry who had a favorable attitude towards the missionaries. British rule Serampore was turned into a subdivision in the district of Hooghly in 1845. Serampore municipality was set up separately in 1865. Serampore and its adjoining areas were famous for learning. The Sanskrit schools, popularly known as Tole, were engaged in the teaching of Sanskrit and published journals like Jnanarunodaya, Satyaprada, the evangelist Arunodaya, Sabhatha Sangraha, Akbar Serampore, Babidabata Prakashika, Prakriti Rangan, and Benga Bandhu. Literature was always shining in Serampore. Rev. Lal Bahari Day M. Tansdant Narayan Chaturaj Gunanidhi, Kalidas Mitra, John Robinson and others were very active in the literary activities. It is said that Raja Ram Mohan Roy, the first modern man in India, was born at Chatter in Serampore at his maternal uncle's house, though the issue is still controversial. Dinabandhu Mitra, the great author, was posted as postmaster, Serampore. Vibhuti Bhusan Mukhopadhyay, the famous litterateur, spent his childhood days at Chatter in Serampore. Poets like Amir Chakraborty, Hariprasad Mitra were also born there. On the 11th of October 1845, it was sold to Britain, which integrated it into British India and officially restored the Bengali name. After taking possession of the town, the British began to look after its civic amenities, and the earlier village committee was transformed into the Serampore municipality in 1865. Rishra and Konaga were also included in it. At the time, the affluent high caste section of the Serampore population displayed no sign of modernization, nor did they subscribe to an urban ethos. The Indian economy during the period was passing through a severe recession. There was continuous migration of rural people to the urban centers. Landless laborers from Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Bihar and Orissa came to Serampore in search of employment. When the second jute mill was opened in 1866 in Serampore, the town began to grow as an industrial town. Along with the jute mills, many other subsidiary factories came up in the erstwhile rural areas within or on the fringes of the town. Thus, with the capital investment of the British, the commercial town of Serampore was transformed into an industrial one. The deciding force behind the process was the laying of the railway line from Hooghly to Burdwan in 1854. It ushered in a great change in the social composition of the town. Between 1866 and 1915, 6 more jute mills were established at Rishra, Serampore and Chandanagar. The local landlords, their kardars and mill owners made arrangements for the habitation of the labor force around the factories. Thus at Mahesh, Akn and Tarapukum oozes adjacent to the Ganges, workers' colonies like Odia Basti, Gaya Prabasti, Chapra Basti and Telengi Parabasi were established. Because of the arrival of these migrant workers, the population in Serampore increased from 24,440 to 44,451 between 1872 and 1901. The habitations of laborers were unhygienic, overcrowded slums. There was no provision for even the bare minimum of civic amenities in the dwellings. In 1914, an arrangement was made to supply filtered potable water from the municipality. The town hall was established in memory of Kishori Lal Goswami in 1927. At the initiative of the government, the weaving school was founded during the 30s, and later on it was raised to the status of a textile college. The municipality began to provide electricity in 1938. After 50 years of British possession, Serampore was swept by the waves of a Bengali cultural and nationalist movement. The spirit of nationalism influenced many youths from middle-class families. It resulted in the decline of foreign investment in industries, but there was an increase in indigenous investment. The Bangalakshmi cotton mill was founded out of the Swadeshi spirit. For the beginning of the 20th century, many primary schools and educational institutions were set up in Serampore. The descendants of some of the older aristocratic families donated the residential buildings for benevolent purposes. Post-1947. Since 1947, Serampore has become a satellite of Kolkata, and as such its process of urbanization and change is as yet still incomplete. Now Serampore is one of the most developed towns in the mainline region of Hooghly. Demographics. According to an India census, Serampore had a population of 181,842 in 2011. Males constituted 51.55% of the population and females 48.45%. It had an average literacy rate of 89.99%, higher than the national average of 74.04%. Male literacy was 92.75% and female literacy 87.05%. 7% of the population was under 6 years of age. The following municipalities and census towns in Hooghly district were part of Kolkata urban agglomeration in 2011 census: Bansberia, Hali Chinchura, Barakajuria, Shankarnagar, Amorjata, Chak Bansberia, Naldanga, Kadalia, Kulahanda, Simla, Dharmapur. Bardaswar, Champdani, Chandaniga, Bajubati, Serampore, Rishra, Bamunari, Dakshan Rajadapur, Nabagram Colony, Konaga, Uttapara Kotrung, Raghunathpur, Kanipur and Kyoto. Climate. Transport. Road. The Grand Trunk Road pass through the city and AMP Kolkata Delhi Road connect also. GT Road and AMP Kolkata Delhi Road are connected by Serampore Nabagram Moor. The GT Road pass through the eastern and AMP western part of this city. Every day about more than 10,000 vehicles pass through this road. Bus services very well in Serampore. Bus route. Serampore Town Station, Kolkata Bag Bazaar Salt Lake. Serampore Kothara Station. Serampore Court Karunamoy Salt Lake. Serampore Court Chanditala. Serampore Court Jangipara. Serampore Court Aushbali. Serampore Court Birshabpur. Serampore Court Tarikeshwar. Serampore Court Pandu. Serampore Court Domjur. Serampore Court Siakala. 5 acres of land along the GT Road, West Serampore across the Mulakpara. Serampore Sub-Bus Minibus Owners Welfare Association, a base at Minasa. It can stand more than 250 buses and 30 routes. As a result, the city can go to different places in the state and outside the state. Auto. Different routes to different places in the city and also has Toto. Quite a lot of them. Rail. Serampore Town Railway Station and Hooghly Railway Station, 2 railway stations in Serampore. The 15th of August 1854, India was the first rail traffic from Howrah to Hooghly, and that was the first stop on the first train station in the Bali and then the Seacount halt in Serampore. Serampore Town and AMP Hooghly Station is a very important unit. Howrah-Bardhaman Main Line Railway. Many important local, passenger, express trains stop here. Serampore Town Railway Station. Daily train up 136 and AMP down 135. Hooghly Railway Station. Water. Serampore City Connector Barrackpore City and AMP Titagarh by ferry service on Ganges, Hooghly River. There are 5 ferry service in the city. Serampore Mahesh Ghat, Titagarh. Serampore Ballavpur Ghat, Titagarh. Serampore Jugalodi Ghat, Barrackpore. Serampore Chhatra Ghat, Barrackpore. Serampore Hooghly Ghat, Barrackpore. Air. Kolkata Airport is 34 kilometers from Serampore. Hindu architecture. Satlamata Mandir at BP Day Street. Serampore Town Railway Station Bazaar. Various Hindu temples can be found in the Serampore area, such as the Temple of Radha Ballabh at Ballavpur, the Temple of Lord Jagannath at Mahesh, the Rath Yatra of Mahesh, the Ram-Sita Temple, Sripur, Gauranga at Chhatra, Hari Sabha at Batala, Sashan Kali Mandir at Ballavpur, Henry Martin's Pagoda, Ballavpur, Sitalatala Mandir, Nistrini Kali Bari, Hooghly Ghat. The Jagannath Temple of Mahesh is dated to 1755, when Bengal came under the command of Sri Chaitanya's Vaishnavism in the 15th century. These places became preeminent as a Hindu pilgrim center. Raja Manohar Roy Zamindar of Hooghly built the temple of Ram-Sita in Sripur in 1753, and his son Ram Chandra Roy then later dedicated the villages of Sripur, Gopinathpur and Manoharpur as devotara land in the service of the deity. Subsequently the temple was taken care of by Raja Nirmal Chandra Ghosh and the Hooghly Raj Debutar estate, Serampore. In present times the temple and its premises fall under the surveillance of the Serampore Hooghly Raj Bari. Education. Serampore College, Government College of Engineering and Textile Technology. Serampore Union Institution, Serampore Girls College, Mahesh Sri Ramakrishna Ashram Vidyalaya, Serampore Girls High School, Chhatra Nandalal Institution, Serampore Mission Girls High School, Melina Lahiri Boys Academy, Holy Home School, West Point Academy, Gospel Home School, Pearl Rosary School, Kidzi, Bangla High School, Ballavpur High School, Mahesh High School, Mahesh Banga Vigila, Ramesh Chandra Girls High School, Rajadapur Netaji Uchcha Balika Vigila, Parameshwari Girls High School, Nabagram KD Paul Vigila, Chatrabani Balika Vigila, Anjuman, NCL. Project School, Aurobindo NCLP School, Bharati Balika Pri School, Fatima Girls Junior High School, Gopinath Sahar Pri School, Mission Girls High School, Nayabasti Sree Shiva Junior High H. Saraswati, NCLP Special School, the Viswanath Vijayanandya, Prabhash Nagarji, SFP, Malakpura Municipal Free Pri